Have you ever had a strange encounter with a complete stranger that left you feeling uneasy? In today's video, we're diving into 3 chilling Reddit stories that will make you question the intentions of those around you. These real-life experiences are not just tales, they're warnings from the shadows. So, grab your popcorn, turn off the lights, and prepare for a journey into the unknown. And before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories. The year was 2007, and I was 13 at the time. The new SmackDown vs. Raw WWE game had just come out, and I walked into my small town on a Sunday morning to purchase it. After getting the game, I was in awe of the cover and the synopsis on the back of the game. So, I sat on a bench to read it and revel in the excitement of buying a new game. I lived in a very small market town in England, so Sundays were often quite quiet. While sitting on the bench, I looked over to the nearest bus stop across the road and noticed a strange, scraggly man walking towards me. I was a bit nervous seeing this, because although I was a teenager, I looked as if I was about 11. I was quite small. On his approach, the man called out to me and asked what it was that I was holding. I explained that it was my new game. He, seeming enamored by my response, reached out and asked to see the game. Instinctively, I recoiled more than just a bit. I stood up from the bench and said, "I need to go. My brother is waiting for me at the mall." And although he wasn't, I felt like I needed to say this. As I walked off, the man began to follow me, asking me questions like my name and my age. I replied with a fake name and told him my age. On entering the mall, I started walking quicker and quicker, trying to put some distance between me and this man. But I didn't want to flat out run, as for some reason I wanted to save face. He kept asking me questions, like if I had a girlfriend. And as he got closer, at times I noticed he had a giant scar on his face, along with lots of jewelry on. To his question, I responded, yes, as I thought that it may put him off if he knew that I had a girlfriend. I then scampered into a shop and started flicking through the magazines. But this man persisted. He found which aisle I was in and continued with the questions. At this point, I got up the courage to just run as fast as I could. As I made it out of the mall, I saw that this man was in pursuit. Given how scraggly and worn down he looked, against my fresh legs, he had no chance of catching me. Once I got home, I didn't tell my parents what I had just gone through. I went upstairs, played my game, but later that day, I did tell my mom, and she contacted the police immediately. I then had to go to the police station, tell them what had happened, and try to pick this man out of a number of photos that the police had on a laptop. I didn't have to scroll for very long. On the 2nd or 3rd page of People, I saw that man, easily identifiable with the scar and all. Apparently, he was well known by the police in our town and the major city down the road. This man had a long history with the law, and more strikingly, had a penchant for snatching up young boys. Not long after my encounter with him, he was found and arrested on the suspicion of multiple crimes. These included kidnapping, endangering a minor, and several accounts of assault. All told, he got 8 years. My account of what had happened was not enough to have all these charges levied against him. It took a few of his previous victims to come forward and give their own accounts of what horrible things had happened to them. They all, more or less, mirrored my encounter. The man had approached them when they were out alone and distracted. More often than not, it was brute force that he employed, not charm or cunning. I'm grown now, but I still think back, and it breaks my heart to know what those other young men had to endure at this guy's hands. There are days where I feel both guilty and lucky that I got away and made it home to play video games that day. In my mind, 8 years locked up is hardly suitable for what that man did, but that's what he got. And I only pray that every day he spent behind bars were miserable and filled with the same type of pain that he inflicted on many young children. Backstory. I was 13 years old in the late 90s. I lived in Mesa, Arizona, and this story happened while walking home from school one day. I remember it being a typically warm Arizona day. I was wearing shorts, a tank top, and flip-flops. No backpack, just carrying my binder. Only about a mile and a half from the school to my grandma's house, which was a walk that I had done tons of times without any incident. I'm just passing the midway point. Passing a park, and I see a truck is parked there. A rusty, once gray in a previous life truck. As I walk by, I hear a man ask if I'd like a ride. I don't even look up. I just say, "No thanks," keeping my eyes trained in front of me. Before crossing the street, I clutch my binder to my chest and I pick up my pace. I think I make it about a block up. Then I hear that rusty, clunking truck. It's creeping up next to me, on my left. This is when my gut tells me to run. Freaking run, but I don't. They kind of turn a blind eye to my gut. I turn to the truck that is now stopped. Window rolled down. I see a balding, liver spots on his head, 80-something, normal-looking grandpa. I say normal-looking because as soon as I saw him, that gut feeling that I had to run all but went away. He seemed nice, genuine. He could have been anyone's grandpa. He was so plain and far from menacing looking. He asked again if I'd like a ride. It's really hot, and he's going my way. My head says, what could this old man possibly do? I could take him. I realize now just how wrong that train of thought was. I get in, I sit as close to the door as I can, just in case, and then we start to move. But almost instantly, I regret my choice. I regret climbing into this truck. Everything in me says, this is bad, really bad. No one knows I'm here. My gut is twisting and churning, sending every red flag that it can. I get nauseous. My head is spinning. Just because he's old doesn't mean he won't do unspeakable things to me. I knew then I had to get out. I tell him, that's my house up ahead. We haven't even made it a block, but I asked him to pull over. To this request, he doesn't even slow down. He doesn't look at me. All he does is begin to laugh. He had been talking the whole time, but I can't tell you what he was saying. As I swear that I was on the brink of having a panic attack. What the hell was I thinking? Mel Biggs, an 11-year-old girl from my hometown, had just disappeared weeks earlier, and all I could think was how dumb I was and how I was going to go out. This man was surely going to kill me, but probably not before doing some other horrific things to me. Every bad thought that could be a possibility flashed through my head. He was now passing my fake house. I needed to get out of this truck before we got on the main road. I knew I just had to. That's when I opened the truck door and dove out, leaving my binder behind and scrubbing up my whole body in the process. He was probably only going 10 to 15 miles per hour, so my scrubs and scuffs weren't too bad, although I didn't have the coordination to run it out. But once I dove out and hit the road, he just kept on driving, never even slowed down, hit his brakes, or turned his head to see what had happened. I busted my ribs and my whole right side up, but I was gone. I ran back to my fake house. No one home, so it made it easy to hide alongside the building. After I was sure the man was gone, I ran the rest of the way home. And I think it's safe to say that I had never run so fast in my life. I never told my family. I was too embarrassed about the decision that I made that led to this. When my mom asked me about all the scrapes and bruises, I said I missed the hurdles during track, and that was also the last time I ever walked home again. I was so dumb. Why did I even get in? I know it could have been so much worse. I know I could have ended up kidnapped. I know that I could have ended up in a ditch somewhere. I could have ended up like that other little girl, Mel, who even 25 years later has never been seen again. I went to a wedding of my friend Courtney this last weekend, and I had something happen that I don't think I'll ever shake from my mind. For background, I grew up in a very religious household and went to church every Sunday. Courtney is probably the only person from my old church that I still keep in contact with. While my Sunday prayer habits have changed in adulthood, I'd say that Courtney and I are close. I've met and hung out with her husband, their friends and family, and would even consider her a dear friend. But after what I'm about to share, I'm not sure if this friendship is meant to continue. The situation started at the reception. Courtney was super excited to see me and was definitely the only person who felt that way, judging from all the stares from the people at my old church. I sat down at my table, started playing something on my phone, when some guy sat next to me. He said that the seating arrangements said that he was supposed to sit at my table, and he introduced himself as the groom's friend, Anthony. He was pretty cute, so I spent a lot of time talking to him, and we really hit it off. He didn't seem to judge me for being an atheist, while also giving me the impression that he was genuinely interested in me. When the dancing started, they began by playing Brown-Eyed Girl, and he asked me to join him on the dance floor. So we danced together for most of the night, until at one point, he excused himself to go to the bathroom. I found myself alone at our table once more, but eventually, I felt the need to hit the powder room myself. More than just my urge to pee, I felt a little hot and tired. Not sure if it was the open bar or the heavy meal that they fed us, but I wasn't quite 100% at this point. When I came out of the bathroom, I searched for my purse, where I swear I left it on the back of my chair at the table, but it was nowhere to be found. Given my malaise, I thought that maybe I just left it in my car, so I venture out to the parking lot and into my car to look for it. I quickly find it on the center console, which again is weird because I really thought I had brought it inside. But whatever, I found it. It's with me now. All good. Head back inside, dance some more, before noticing that Anthony never came back. I asked the groom where his friend had gone, and he said Anthony headed home because he wasn't feeling well. I was a little bummed because I was having a good time hanging out, but I couldn't really blame him. After all, my hotness was beginning to shift to a level of discomfort, and now I found myself a bit nauseous as well. I felt pretty solid that it was time to call it a night. I said bye to Courtney, her now huss, and again went off to my car. I hit the unlock button as I got close to my 2021 Honda CR-V, what we call a crossover SUV. I plopped down into the driver's seat, pushed the button to start my car, and glance up into my rearview mirror, just to scope out if I look as under the weather as I'm beginning to feel. But that's when something caught my attention. It looked like something in my trunk had just ducked down as I glanced back, not sure what I had seen, if anything at all. I turned to look back, no longer looking in the mirror. That's when I could clearly see the outline of a body of a man crouched behind my seats. It was Anthony. Instantly, I screamed bloody murder and hop out of the car. I start to run back towards the reception, and because I can hear gravel crunching behind me, can only assume that I'm now being chased. I made it inside, and in a panic, I tell Courtney. She looks absolutely stunned. She gets her husband and another member of his family to walk me back to my car. As we're walking out, he says that he doesn't see Anthony's car anywhere in the lot, so he probably left now. Had he stopped there, I think I could have been all right, but it was when he asked me, "Are you sure there was someone in your car?" Like, "Yeah, man, I'm sure it was your friend." I left the event, and I still feel sick to my stomach thinking about it, although it's gone. Even further in my head, was I feeling awful? Not because of a few glasses of champagne and overeating? Could Anthony have done something to me? Had I made it home without noticing him? What was the plan then? Where would it have gone? And what was the potential outcome, knowing that my life would have been in his hands had I not looked back? Courtney said that she feels terrible that she invited him and that she had no idea that he would do that. Her husband has said that he's never been accused of something like this before. Neither of them has spoken to him since, though I've made a report with the police, but who knows where that will go. This stuff easily crosses the boundary from physical threat to something psychological, because I haven't really left the house since this occurred. The thought that he knows where I'm at, where I live, or will just be waiting for me somewhere, like he was in the back of my car, absolutely persists. I don't know, man. It's really just terrifying to me. Wow, those stories were truly spine-chilling. What did you think? Which encounter gave you the creeps the most? Have you ever experienced something similar? We'd love to hear your thoughts and any creepy stories you might have in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends who love a good scare. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our latest terrifying tales. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there, because you never know who might be lurking in the shadows.